and Joseph Joffre, the talented journalist and editor of the prestigious German weekly newspaper Die Zeit. Welcome. Bernard, you've compared Obama to John F. Kennedy on this program. And one of the things Kennedy faced was a series of foreign policy tests from the Bay of Pigs to the summit with Khrushchev. And in the early ones, he didn't do so well. The Bay of Pigs, he basically got wrong. With the summit with Khrushchev, the Russians left with the impression that he was weak and irresolute. Do you think there's that danger? You like Obama?
Yes, it's not a question of like. I believe that he has the shoulders of a president, and I believe it since long time. I compared him to Kennedy on this show, and I compared him with Bill Clinton 4 years ago. I wrote a piece which was entitled Obama, a Black Clinton, 4 years ago. Few people spoke of him as a possible president. I wrote that in the Atlantic Monthly and in a French newspaper. So this is one thing. The other thing is that all the peoples in the world are not as democratic as America is. You will have some leaders who will be very comfortable and some uncomfortable with the fact of discussing with a half-black president. I tell you.
Really? Do you think that there will be effectively a racist response?
If we can put the feet in the dish, as we say in France, I know, I read the press abroad, you have some countries who will feel uncomfortable, of course, with this idea. Everybody speaks about the racism of America, you know, the last minute racism. Will they dare to put the vote for Obama? You have that much more on the stage of the world, in some countries.
The skin color, I don't think it will matter, because by now even Europeans and others around the world's table have seen that there are black people in the world.
All right, we have to talk about the fact that John McCain could well win the election. So what will a McCain presidency look like to the rest of the world?
I think the world, and I think here we are totally in agreement, the world believes that its problem with America was Bush. And I don't believe that. I think the problem with Bush is worth about 30%. The problem the world has with America's power and untrammeled power, especially after the Soviet Union collapsed. And that power is still there. And that's where I think where the disappointment is going to come from in Obama's case. He is not a savior as Europeans think.
What will you do if John McCain is elected president? You know, there are Americans who say they'll move to France, but you're already in France.
Yes, but I'm more and more in America, so I will be probably less and less in America if McCain was elected. Because first of all, yes, disappointment. There is such a hope in the camp of Obama that it would be, when you take the risk to pick the bubble of the hope, it is really problematic. There is a huge bubble of hope. Election of McCain will mean the destroying of that, number one. Number two, there would be a great deal of anxiety in the world, because if there is one candidate about whom nobody knows what is really his position, is McCain, really. Is he Bushist, not Bushist, conservative, of which way, of which tendency? There is a real irresolution and a real enigma. He's not a bad guy, by the way. He's brave, a veteran, and so on. But his position is so confused. And now you have Sarah Palin, who is, frankly, I don't want, as we say in French, fire on an ambulance. But it is a joke. It is a bad joke invented by Mr. Bill Kristol and others, by neoconservatives who went in Alaska to fetch
Kristol too much power.
They went to, it was the last trick. They made the mistake in Iraq, and the little mistake was to go and fetch Sarah Palin. But McCain president means the possibility of Mrs. Palin president, and this is not possible for such a great country. A woman president who believes that the great flood really happened in Las Vegas, in the Grand Canyon, is crazy. She believes that. the grandfather, of course he does.
Come on.
Defend Sarah
And that you
Palin.
have-
Oh, come on. Listen, this is a typical...
She believes that the dinosaurs were the
Oh,
She said it.
ça c'est en français du bullshit. Anyway, let's not talk about that.
She said it. She said it. She believes that the pipeline in Alaska is blessed by God. That God came to bless the pipeline
She
in
said,
Alaska.
let us hope, for instance, let us hope that God blesses this and that. She didn't say it was blessed. She was just being
This is the way for a Christian to...
I'm sorry,
You're not troubled by
she is religious and you are not, and the French are not, and Europe is de-Christianizing.
Barack
So
Obama is religious
so
also.
do not make fun
No,
of people
Obama-
believe. I don't
Obama
believe
is
it.
religious
Okay,
also.
anyway, the question was?
What do you think of Sarah Palin? That's my question.
I think of Sarah Palin with the single exception of Cheney, vice presidents don't run U.S. foreign policy. I would also respectfully disagree with my French friend here. We know exactly what McCain stands for. He's been coming to Europe for 30 years. He comes to all the strategy conferences. He has a record. He has a voting record. He is on foreign policy. He's in some respects more moderate than even Obama is. I mean, he's taken on Obama
He wants to kick Russia out of the G8. He wants to take China out of an expanded G8.
And he said, okay, don't make me do this. All I'm saying is that he's been more moderate, for instance, on Pakistan, where Obama has threatened, and which I think is much more serious, to actually invade if they can't get...
So you think
Obama understood that Pakistan is a real state.
All right, so you think
Anyway,
Europe will be pleasantly surprised?
I know what his foreign policy is going to be because he has a record, and I've seen the record goes back 30 years. Above all, I think he is not captive to any particular part of his party because he has gone up against the Bushes and others often enough and linked hands with the Democrats across the aisle that I know he's not going to be presenting us with evil, bad surprises.
All right, and we will be back.
The project.
We will be back.